I have people in my life where I'll give them a compliment and they'll start and I just go shh, shh, shh.
I actually think you've done that too.
Hi, welcome back. I'm Ariella.
And I'm Harpreet.
And we're here with Endeavor to talk about building your narrative over the summer. Because building your narrative is something that we are stressing as part of this idea that when you hand your application to college, you're not saying, oh, I'm a complex human being with lots of interests, because surprise, surprise, everyone is a complex human being with lots of interests. But if you go, hey, I'm that weird theater kid, they'll be like, oh, that weird theater kid. And by saying that, obviously you know which one I am. So let's start with you, because you're not quite so weird. And so let's give them a chance to breathe, right? Mm-hmm. We'll ease them into the weirdness. So what was your narrative when you were applying to college?
So, when I was applying to college, I actually didn't know what a personal narrative was at all. But it just happened to be that I strung together a lot of stuff that happened to, create a narrative unconsciously. So, for me, it was being that person that played sports throughout the year, as well as playing, specifically cello, or, playing in orchestra, specifically a cello. And that narrative was furthered by the summer between my junior and senior year, especially because all I did that summer was either go to football practice or, besides summer reading, was play my cello, which sounds like a depressing summer, but it was actually really fun since I really liked it.
No, I know. I didn't think it was depressing until you said that, and then I was like, wow, wake up. What is it, 8 hours a day?
Yeah. No,
8 hours a day of football practice, and then how many hours a day did you do for cello?
Probably 1 or 2. I mean,
That's crazy.
Yeah, it was dedication. But yeah, but it sounded, now that I'm thinking about it, it sounded weird, but it's it's what I like to do, and should be what your narrative is, something you like to do, as well as something you would want to dedicate your time to. So now that my activities have changed, I don't play football anymore, and though I want to play cello again, I don't have one at the moment. But I'm wow, the things I do now are completely different, and that's okay.
Yeah,
that's okay. Your activities will you as a person will constantly evolve.
So yeah, if your narrative right now, if you look at your extracurriculars and you're like, oh man, I'm totally the gymnastics kid, right? I'm on the gymnastics team. I do this kind of club. I'm the president of this acrobatic whatchamacallit. I really should talk about things that I know about instead of just BSing with this. Okay, but you know what? I said it. Let's go for it. So imagine that's your resume right now, right? And you have all of these things. Does that mean you have to be a gymnast in college? No, it doesn't. Not at all. Not at all. You could totally change your mind when you get there. The whole idea is that right now you're in this spot where you're pushing yourself for put everything down on paper, focus on my GPA, get into college. And then when I get into college, I can think about all of that later. And now's the time where we're kind of saying, hey, maybe figure out a little bit of what your narrative is. Because, for example, if you happen to be that gymnastics kid, you can totally change your mind in college. But there's probably a reason that you're the gymnastics kid.
Yeah.
There's probably a reason that 8 hours a day you're doing one activity. You probably really enjoy it. Now, that thing that you really enjoy might not be what you want to do later, but there's a part of, for example, for you, there was cello and there was football. What aspects of that have you brought into your life now? Or, what aspects of that, was it, the team community that you're I really just wanted to be a part of a team and that's what I love doing? What kind of...
Yeah, no, actually, you hit it spot on. Now that I think about it, I could care less about football. I think what it was is literally the team. They were the people I spent the most time with because in the summer we would spend we would basically be working full time together, and then when it was football season while school, I think I remember calculating it, but football would take up 24 hours, which means we would have a 6-day week instead of a 7-day week because one full day will be dedicated to playing football, which was intense. But yeah, it was more so I realized I didn't care for football as much now. But what really got me was going with the team because my best friends, we all played football from 7th grade up to 12th grade. And I was I think that was the main reason why I stuck through with it because I really enjoyed it. And it didn't matter what activity I did, what kind of conditionings we had to do, what kind of lifting we had to do because we were all in it together. Well, really, the funny thing is, I've never even watched High School Musical.
Unfortunately, I have. And speaking of theater, here I am. yeah, in case you can't tell, like I say this a lot, but in case you can't tell by the everything about me, I'm a theater person, and that was definitely my narrative. So I went to this place called Long Lake Camp for the Performing Arts, which is a fantastic, wonderful haven where you can be whatever you want to be, and it's beautiful. It's the utopia for the weirdos and the outcasts. And so I went there, and I was, believe it or not, I went there, I started when I was like 10 years old.
Mm-hmm.
I was shy.
Wait, so you went there every single summer?
I went there every single summer since I was 10 years old, 10 to 16. So,
Wow.
well, no, that can't be right. I must have been 9 when I went first, because I went for 7 summers.
Damn.
Yeah, and I was a shy person when I first went there. You see what happens?
You're not shy anymore?
I'm definitely not shy anymore, but I started off shy. And it's not a thing like shy people are awesome and introverts are awesome. And I always kind of talk about it like we're different species, but we're not. And it's just like I wanted to be very confident and very extroverted and outgoing, and I didn't have the confidence to do so. And then I went to Long Lake, and people were like, "Oh, you're very talented." And I was like, "Oh my god, thank you." And I would do the typical thing that I was conditioned to do, which is like, "Oh, like thanks. I didn't even like try that hard. Like I didn't really even like blah blah blah." And people were like,
yeah.
"Shut up."
You're that person.
Stop, people, because that's what you're told to do. You're told someone compliments you, you're supposed to say no or apologize or something of where you didn't do it on purpose.
And you reject the compliment.
Exactly. And it was very difficult to just go, "Thank you." And it's really hard to do. And I have people in my life where I'll give them a compliment and they'll start and I just go, "Shh, shh, shh."
I actually think you've done that too.
I go, "Shh." I go, "Practice it. Ready? Thank you." Just say think you. And then like a whole world opens up. So like I have that theater camp to thank me to. So to thank. And plus I did a lot of shows there. I think I did 36 shows at that camp throughout the like the 7 summers. I think I did 36 shows. I counted it once and it's 30 something shows.
So it's like 5 a summer basically, or a little bit more.
Like give or take, and I'm also not just including musicals. I'm musicals, plays, skits, circus performances, improv. There was a fight choreo team where we called it like a fight club.
Oh my god.
Rule number 1, of course, was not to talk about it. So sorry guys, you can shoot me. It's fine. But yeah, at that theater camp, I did circus. I did a lot of poetry there too. That's when I started blossoming into the young poet that I now am. And
you sure about that?
yeah, it's fine. It's fine. We're all fine. We're all friends here. No judgment, please. Cool. Anyway, so my narrative was definitely like, I did all of this theater and I did all of this circus, and then my college essay was a poem about how I did Spanish Web, which was an act in circus where it was a big giant rope and you climbed it and you put your hand in the loop and then you like this and they spin you around and it's so fun. Oh my god, I miss it so much. And so I did circus and I wrote about that for my college essay as a poem. And colleges saw that and went, "This is the weird circus kid," or "This is the weird theater kid," because everything about that was tying into my narrative. So that's what I did every summer. And then after I was 16, I was like, "Oh no, I'm too old to go there. Like, what do I do now?"
Oh, no.
And I had like free summers for the first time in my life. So after that, it was kind of like, okay, I have all this theater stuff. I should probably do theater things to continue. But it was really hard for me because I couldn't really find theater things. My sister, however, was a pro at it because she also went to the same performing arts camp. She was more of a dancer and like way better than me at everything. And so she ended up performing with Playland. Playland is a amusement park that is near my house in Rye, New York, in Westchester. And Playland had these performances, and my sister was a dancer with the shows there.
Yep.
And so she furthered her narrative by going forward and every summer performing in that same thing after she left Long Lake, which is super cool. I did not do that. I went to Costa Rica because I really wanted to use my Spanish, and I like volunteered on some like soup kitchen stuff and like did a lot of I just did a lot of volunteering. Ooh, I worked at a pet shelter. Shelters kind of thing is what I did a lot. So like building things. Like I remember in Costa Rica, I helped to rebuild a school that had been damaged and built like a trail in the rainforest and a bridge. So things like that, and it was super cool. But I got to tell you, that's going to be on a lot of kids' resumes. A lot of kids are going to be like, "I went on this mission trip," or "I did this," blah blah blah. So like if you do that stuff, obviously put it on your resume. Don't leave it out, but make sure it kind of shows who you are rather than just, "Oh, and look, I'm a good person." For me, it was like I really wanted to do it for the Spanish culture, and I really wanted to do it because I liked working with my hands, I liked building, I liked doing all of that stuff.
Exactly.
And that like tied into the craftsmanship of everything else I did, and the altruism of, you know, kind of like working and doing volunteer work tied in to the rest of my stuff too, because I really wanted to do social justice theater. And so for me, it was like a big blobby mess that obviously I don't do a lot of that stuff anymore, but all of the things that made me want to do that are still here.
Yep, exactly.
And that's, I guess that's the point we're probably trying to make, is that it doesn't matter if your activities now are not what you want to do later. That's not what we mean by narrative. By narrative, we just mean you want one thing about you where colleges can pick up this piece of paper and say, the blank kid, right?
Yeah, for example, my little brother, like, I'm pretty sure he's a junior right now, but I'm pretty sure when he's applying, he'll be the speech kid. So he's really into, like, speech, like, not debate, but, like, specifically speech, and he's, like, really adamant about that, too. It's really funny. He's like, no, I don't do debate, I do speech. And I'm like, okay, speech it is. But yeah, like, he's, like, captain of the speech team. He, like, literally, if he's not doing homework, he's, like, editing his speeches to perform at speech tournaments. Like, I think he's actually at one right now, this very second.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, like, they literally like left school early to go to a speech tournament. I was like, okay, but make sure your grades are...
Speech tournament.
Mm-hmm.
That's not like presidential speeches kind of thing, like State of the Union. That's like...
So it could be. So, like, there are, like, different events within speeches, and, like, I don't want to go too into details, like, for the sake of time.
I guess so.
But, like
I'm
yeah,
just
like,
curious.
no, yeah, like, there are some that are, like, oratories. So he's done oratories, which are, like, literally, like, a 10-minute speech about, like, politics. And then there are some where, like, it's more so based on, like, speaking skills or, like, presentation skills, for lack of better words.
Peter Piper picked a peck of pickles.
Sure. So, like, talk about summer. He actually got a job teaching at a speech camp for this summer.
Oh my God, there you go. So he's got his narrative down.
Yep. And, like,
And
I
it's
don't
clearly compelling enough that I was able to be like, wait, what do you mean speech? Like, not, because we've all heard of speech and debate, but that was something that you were like, oh, it's actually so cool, blah, blah, blah. If, I'm sure when your brother gets interviewed, he's going to be like, oh, like, actually, I'm really adamant about it, this, and just have plenty of material to talk about, which is another thing. You really want your narrative to be strong because that's what you're going to be talking about during your interview.
Yep, exactly.
So, that's
yeah,
cool.
Yep,
That's
like,
awesome.
he's the speech kid.
The speech kid. Cool. Well, I think that is all the time we have for today. But thanks so much for tuning in, and we'll see you next time, kids.